Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I would hope that the local member representing the job losses to be faced tomorrow has been working closely with the union, Centrelink and financial advisors. Some of those losing work with this change will find a new direction. Others will move to compatible and technical employment. It's a tough time, but Aussies are tough. The change is stressful and emotional. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, I find sometimes that the Labor would rather the Australian nation spend valuable taxpayer dollars to support an industry that had been depending on a government subsidy for some years. They really worry about closing certain industries, yet they had 6 years to incentivise the closing companies to develop alternate manufacturing pathways, as was clearly indicated needed to be done. The decision to close many of the operations was actually in process during Labor's time of government. Australians themselves did not support our car industry. We didn't all buy Fords and we didn't all buy Holdens, not even Toyotas. A government cannot have a continuous subsidy scheme. There needs to be an operational change to build sustainability. But, you know, I sit here sometimes and I wonder, but today I think I finally discovered it. Today it seems to me that those of this with business experience who kept accounts information knew that everything that was positive was in the black. Money coming in, money in the bank was written in the blank, but everything that had to be paid was in the red. If the number in the black column was bigger than the number in the red column, then we knew we were doing okay. But the Labor Party sees the red side as the correct side. The bigger the number on the red side, the happier they are. In fact, when they see whopping big employment numbers on the black side, they think that's a bad thing and say the government is losing jobs. Mr Deputy Speaker, I get it. I finally understand. They don't know how to read the accounting books properly. In my community, they know that not being able to read the accounting books properly is actually not a really good skill. Now, everyone knows that that would be a rubbish strategy. The Sydney Morning Herald on the 16th of September this year talked about all the additional jobs that have been created in the first 8 months of the year. It was backed up earlier in June, not backed up, it was precursed by information from the Business Insider that, again, the jobs growth was huge. And today we announced that we've got 371,500 jobs. It's not equally distributed around our nation, but certainly indicates going in the right direction. Some of the reasons for this increase in employment relate to the natural growth in the jobs market, the increased business confidence and the stability of a government intent on reducing the red side of the taxpayers' accounting books, but also to active policy changes to encourage employers to take on more staff. From January 1st this year, a number of incentives were put in place. A wage subsidy of up to $10,000 that is now available to qualifying businesses that employ eligible job seekers. Some administrative changes also helped. Wage subsidies being paid over 6 months instead of 12 months, an optional kickstart payment of up to 40% of the wage subsidy available for 4 weeks after the job begins. Minimum working hours are able to be 20 hours per week over the 6-month term. There's a new youth bonus wage subsidy of up to $10,000 for employers who hire eligible job seekers between 15 and 24 years of age. There are other sectors of the jobs market that also attract employer subsidies, and interested employers should contact their local job service providers. I would suggest that Labor, rather than extolling the virtues of a budget that remains in the red, look more carefully at the opportunities for our working Australians and those wanting to work. Let's develop policies to grow enterprising skills among young employees, as these are likely to be the most critical skills for jobs of the future. Based on government projections, Australia will have between 5.6 and 6.4 million job changes up to 2025. In 10 years, Australia will have jobs we haven't dreamt of, but we do know very many well-known occupations will still be in high demand. My final point relates to the absolute correlation between the cost of energy and jobs. It's simple, really. The higher the price of energy, the fewer the jobs. The lower the reliability of energy, the higher the unemployment numbers. Labor really needs to look at the red and the black and realise that deficits and negative balances in government are not desirable.